My name is Harry, and I'm from London.
Meghan Markle here.
Okay, today is March 30th, 2023. It is 2:20 a.m. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this video, but since I was reading the article, I might as well share it. What got me looking into it is this tweet. Right after I did my last video recording, and I went back on Twitter and I was reading and I saw this. Okay, this is what led me to it. Okay, Princess Lilibet of Sussex, Meghan and Harry's daughter, being the youngest descendant of King Charles, is about to save Disney America from the DeSantis and his bigotry for years to come. All hail Princess Lilibet of Sussex, a true Disney princess. When I read that, I was thinking, not too long ago, I'm reading a tweet where what is it? Someone said Piers Morgan was asking DeSantis about Meghan or something like that. And I remember my response was, I don't care what he does, just stay away from Meghan. But if he's in the ticket to be the president, then he'll be my business. I remember saying that. But now saying that, I was curious what's going on. So I read that. Okay, let's read. And I was still lost. Orlando Sentinel, quote, "This essentially makes Disney the government," end quote. Board member Ron Perry said, "This board loses for practical purposes the majority of its ability to do anything beyond maintain the road and maintain basic infrastructure." Okay, all this is understand. Among other things, a quote declaration of restrictive covenants, end quote, spells out that the district is barred from using the Disney name without a corporation approval or fanciful characters such as Mickey Mouse. That declaration is valid until 21 years after the death of the last survivor of the descendant of King Charles III. Wow. Okay, King Charles III, King of England, if it is deemed to violate rules against perpetuity according to the document, a development agreement allowed Disney. Very interesting. And then there's that. And then this is my response here. There's me here. I'm a bit confused. I read it, but what led to it? I know Florida governor was trying to be dictator of Florida. What happened? I feel like I'm missing something in between. Okay, so she responded. She just responded 3 minutes ago. Okay, because I was writing it's gone. Okay, DeSantis tried to take over the Disney board using land right clause. Disney lawyers found a fine print in the old deed and stripped the DeSantis appointees of almost all their authorities to make decisions about Disney. Okay, she explained it. This is why I was gonna read the article. Please don't spread that too much to avoid a British media, but it's on a headline everywhere. Harry and Meghan don't need that. She is just a baby. Don't know her tab will tweet. Okay. Harry and Meghan, me, the world cannot be held responsible for deranged British media. Okay. Is my thing still there? Okay. So this is, I was putting that That's what I was in the middle of, and then I was gonna read this one. Okay, and I put the link, and so this is where I am. Okay, to let you know where this is going. So let me put this. All right, there's this here. Let's read that article. Disney World Board picked by DeSantis said predecessors stripped them of power. Okay. Lake Buena Vista, Florida. Board members picked by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to oversee the governance of Walt Disney World said Wednesday that their Disney-controlled predecessors pulled a fast one on them by passing restrictive covenant that stripped the new board of many of its powers. The current supervisors of Central Florida Tourism Oversight District said at a meeting that their predecessors last month signed a development agreement with the company that gave Disney maximum developmental power over the theme park, a resort for 27,000 acres in Central Florida. The 5 supervisors were appointed by the Republican governor to the board after the Florida legislature overhauled Disney government in retaliation for the entertainment giant publicly opposing so-called Don't Say Gay legislation that bars instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity in kindergarten through 3rd grade, as well as lessons deemed not age appropriate. And taking on Disney, DeSantis furthered his reputation as a culture warrior willing to battle perceived political enemies and wield the power of state government, accomplish political goals, a strategy that is expected to continue ahead of his potential White House run. And this is what I was saying. He'll be mad to me if he's in that ticket. I know not to vote for him. Okay. Oh, what is that? I'll do that another time. Okay. The new supervisors replace a board that had been controlled by Disney during the previous 55 years that the government operated as the Reedy Creek Improvement District. The new board members held their first meeting earlier this month and said they found out about the agreement after their appointment. Okay, quote, "We're going to have a deal with it and correct it," board members Brian Ung said Wednesday. Quote, "It's a supervision of the will of the voters and the legislature and the governor. I completely circumvent the authority of this board to govern." Okay, in a statement, Disney said all agreements were above board and took place in public. Okay, quote, "All agreements signed between Disney and district were appropriate and were discussed and approved and open. Notice published forum and compliance with Florida's government and the Sunshine Law," the statement said. Okay, Disney is not playing. Okay, separately, Disney World served workers on Wednesday were voting on whether to accept a union contract offer that will raise the starting minimum wage to $18 an hour by the end of the year. The agreement covers about 45,000 service workers at the Disney theme park resort, including costume performers who perform as Mickey Mouse and other Disney characters, bus drivers, culinary workers, lifeguard, theatrical workers, and hotel housekeepers. Wow, they employ a lot of people, as you can see here. Okay, workers could see their hourly wage rise between what? This is how much they're getting? $5.50? I didn't know it was that low. Oh my God, I don't know. My God, Florida, what the hell are you doing? $5.50? When I was in college, I was doing babysitting. You know how much I was getting an hour? $10. $10 an hour. And that was a long time ago. Oh my God. And $8.60 an hour by the end of the 5-year contract if it's approved according to union leaders. And then it's not like Disney is cheap. I'll look it up. I'll put the amount. Okay, a contract approved 5 years ago made Disney the first major employer in Central Florida to agree to a minimum hourly wage of $15, that more like it, setting the trend for other workers in the region dominated by hospitality job. So that's why they don't want this to the others. My God. Okay, so that's that. Oh, let's go back. Let's see what what is it? AP is saying. The center board said Disney stripped them of power. Okay, Lake Burton Vista, Florida. Board members picked by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to oversee the governance of Walt Disney World said Wednesday that their Disney-controlled predecessor pulled a fast one on them by passing restrictive covenant that stripped the new board of many of its powers. This is the one... Oh my God. The current supervisors of the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District said at a meeting that their predecessors last month signed a development agreement with the company that gave Disney maximum. They went to the max because the sentence is playing stupid. That gave Disney maximum development power over the theme park resort 27,000 acres in Central Florida. The 5 supervisors were appointed by the Republican governor to the board. I'm reading this because I want to see what's different from the other one. NPR and AP tends to be somewhat reasonable. Okay, Republican governor to the board after the Florida legislature overhauled Disney's government and retaliation for the entertainment giant publicly opposed so-called Don't Say Gay legislation that bars instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity in kindergarten through 3rd grade, as well as lessons deemed not age appropriate. And taking on Disney, DeSantis furthered his reputation on a culture warrior willing to battle perceived political enemies and while the power of state government to accomplish political goal, a strategy that is expected to continue ahead of his political White House run. Okay, the new supervisor replaced a board that had been controlled by Disney during the previous 55 years that the government operated as the Reedy Creek Improvement District. The new board members held their 5 meeting early this month and said they found out about the agreement after their appointment. Quote, we're going to have to deal with it and correct it, but members Brian Eng said Wednesday, quote, it's a supervision of the will of the voters and legislature, and the governor is completely circumvent the authority of this board to govern. Okay, under the term of the agreement, the district is prohibited from using the name Disney. Under the term, the agreement, the district is prohibited from using the name Disney or any symbol associated with the theme park resort without the company permission. Wow. Nor can use it the likeness of Mickey Mouse, other Disney characters, or other intellectual property in any manners. The company can sue for damages for any violation, and the agreement is in effect until perpetuative according to the declaration. I need to know what that declaration is. If the agreement is deemed to violate rule against perpetuity, it will be in effect until 21 years after the death of the last survivor of descendant of England's King Charles. Oh, this is the part where she... Okay, the other one did not mention it. Now I see. Okay, until 21 years after the death of the last survivor of the descendant of England's King Charles III, the declaration said. Oh shit. In a statement, Disney said all agreements were above board and took place in public. Oh my God. Okay. All agreements signed between Disney and the district were appropriate and were discussed and approved an open notice, public forum, and compliance with Florida government and the Sunshine Law, the statement said. Separately, Disney World service workers, okay, there's the part where with the amount of thing. You could read the last one. Okay, the last few paragraphs. That's the same thing, how much the workers are getting. Okay. Let me grab that link. I'll put it in here. Let's put that as well, because so people could read it as well. Okay, so they could see that as well from NPR News. All right, so that's that. I'll share the link with you guys in the description. But okay, so I was reading it. Since I was reading it, I was like, I might as well share it with you. Okay, so she responded to that, and there's more comment under it. Okay, all right, so that's it. Please take a moment to subscribe, like, and share. If you want to support this channel, there's a PayPal link and a Cash App link in the description. You could donate. Those who have donated, thank you. So I did a prayer. This is the last prayer that I did on my last video that I recorded, prayer for protection and guidance. Okay, and I'll put that as the thing as well. Heavenly Father, thank you for your guidance. Forgive me for getting ahead of your plans and help me know when to stop and listen to your direction. Your ways are perfect. Thank you for offering gentle grace and guidance. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so that's it. Today is March 30th, 2023. It is 12:48 p.m. I came across a tweet. I've done so many recording. I'm actually in the middle of editing, but I hop on Twitter and I came across this tweet. Okay, it's a long thread and it started from here. I want to read this article and I'm gonna go in this. Okay, all the links of whatever articles that I read will be in the description. Okay, so let's get started, and I'm gonna add this with some other recordings that I did earlier. Okay, is there a good reason why Disney went with a descendant of Charles III rather than descendant of Her Late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II? Royal Lives Clause. The latter will surely give a much greater spread of potential long-lived descendants. Okay, let's see here. I'll go into that later, but let's finish with the thread. Good question. Who knows? Certainly not the BBC, which describes royal lives clauses as restrictive covenant, seems is very archaic not to use a fixed perpetuative period instead. And as far as I can tell, the common law rule against perpetuity has been replaced in Florida since they accepted the U.S. uniform statutory rule, so all the more strange. But then, this is well beyond outside of my experience. These are people from the UK, I guess, people who knows the law. Actually, one of the UK, I think, Davidallengreen, if I'm not mistaken, there was a tweet that I was reading, and I think he has practices law certain part in the US and also in the UK, but there are not all states. Okay, maybe some, I don't remember. There was one of those reporters in the UK or lawyers or journalists in the UK who have practiced law in the US as well. So I'm not sure if Davidallengreen is one of them. Okay, so put a asterisk on that one. So these are good people in the UK, well-minded. I don't know in terms of personality or good people, but well-minded people over there who's talking about what went on with Disney. Okay. As far as I can tell, the common law rule against perpetuative has been replaced in Florida since they accept the U.S. uniform statutory rule, so all the more strange. But then this is well beyond outside my experience. I wonder whether they thought the royal also had to be alive as well as his descendant at the time of the clause. Or maybe it was for publicity to draw attention to their attempt at a two-fingered salute to the Floridian administration, and I'm overthinking it. Okay, I sort of have an idea that what he's talking about, or I could be 100% wrong. Like the way DeSantis is trying to go back in time, so Disney on the other hand went further back. Okay, archaic kind of mentality. England has nothing to do with the US, but they use that clause. They never remove it, they never change it, so they use it. Okay, so that's what I'm getting here. All right, so I'm gonna go in this first, and then I'll come back out to see what the BBC. I don't really care too much about BBC, but for the sake of this video, I'll read it anyway. Okay, see at Davidallengreen's blog, the development agreement made before the legislative move is intended to last in perpetuity with a royal lives clause defined period as fallback in case that is void. Very interesting. So let's go into that. Okay, the link of this will be in the description, so you don't have to listen to my accent here. So this was written today, 30th March 2023. Okay, happily ever after. Disney and the rule against perpetuity. Okay, I hope I pronounced this correctly. 3 hours ago, so he just wrote it. Sometimes there are odd things trending on social media. A few days ago, it was Catford and Catford Bridge. That's in quote, by the way. And this morning, it was, quote, the rule against perpetuities. This rule is the law student equivalent to the history student Schwelwig Holstein question, and that few feel certain they really understand it. But in essence, it is the means by which the court can prevent certain property arrangement from having effect too far into the future. The main encyclopedia of English law described the rule as follows. Quote, the rule against perpetuities which prevent the creation of interest and property which are the vest at too remote a time. Okay, and looking it for the purpose of this post, I learned perpetuity in England is now set as what? At 125 years. In Florida, however, there seems to have been no such legislative intervention, and this brings us to today's trending news. Okay, there's here. The clause about King Charles III is absolutely real. The agreement from to February 8, 2023 Reedy Creek Board meeting can be found in rcid.org. It appears to have been posted days after Governor Ron DeSantis, they tag him, signed a law he says was ending the corporate kingdom. Okay, so let's see here. What can I it's so small, I won't be able to see it. Okay, in essence, I think I have a tweet that has that. Okay, in essence, the lawyers here have adopted an eye-catching variation of the living person plus 21 years formulation, which some lawyers have used as a way around the rule against perpetuities. The formulation provides the mean of reckoning an end date by reference to someone now alive, giving the most recent born of King Charles' descendant is Princess Lilibet. Oh my God, this little girl is already putting history. Oh my God, let me not say what I'm thinking, but I don't really like that. Okay, who was born in 2021, then if she lives to 75, the term of the declaration will be at least 100 years. I am not a Florida lawyer, but looking at the thread as a whole, it will appear that the Reedy Creek Improvement District Board lawyers realized there was the possibility of any in perpetuity provision being challenged, and so they prudently provided the reference to King Charles' descendant as the fallback position if that challenge is successful. And presumably those lawyers selected the descendant of King Charles now living because A, their birth dates are matters of public knowledge, and B, the most recent birth of a descendant of now living was 2021. It would have made less sense if a similar provision had been adopted in, say, 2012 before the birth of Prince George. Wow. As the most recent descendants will then have been Prince Harry in 1984. I have no idea if such a specific fallback provision is common and legal instrument in America or elsewhere. Remember, he's just this is his warning that this is his opinion kind of thing. Okay, his disclaimer kind of thing. But contracts providing for what happens if a particular provision is unenforceable is a commonplace in many contracts, and any sensible lawyers, knowing that the rule against perpetuities and will be invoked, will insert a fallback position. The other day I was reading a tweet, someone put a screenshot of Piers Morgan asking DeSantis some question or something. He must have known something. But let's continue. It is only the eye-catching example which make the one seem that different. The irony here is that this is not the first time Disney have been playful with the term of years for property rights Disney has formed. You may recall the Mickey Mouse Protection Act. One promoter of the legislation, Barry Bono, said, quote, actually, Sonny Bono wanted the term of copyright protection to last forever. Quote, I'm informed by staff that such a change will violate the Constitution. As you know, there is also Jack Valentine's proposal for term to last forever, less one day. Alas, Disney did not get their way that time. Okay, perhaps no lawyer has ever legally defined happily ever after. Okay, but from Disney perspective, happily ever after can now be defined as 21 years after the death of the last survivor of the current living descendant of the King of England, or even forever less one day. Wow. And that is the magic of the law of property. That is also been posted on the Law of Politics blog. Okay, where you can where you and others can comment. Okay, I'm gonna leave this link in the description. You guys could how do you call this, could check it out. So I'm back here. It opened the same thing. I was trying to see if I could see that thing here. Let's see if I could read. Okay, 7.1 term assignment by WDPR. 7.1 term, this declaration shall be deemed effective as the effective date and continue to be effective and perpetuity unless all or certain portion of the provision of this declaration are expressly terminated as provided elsewhere, wherein provided, however, that if the perpetuate term of this declaration is deemed to violate the rule against perpetuities or any similar law or rule, this declaration shall continue to effective until 21 years after the death of the last survivor of the descendant of King Charles III, King of England, living as of date of this declaration, notwithstanding the foregoing or anything to the contrary, wherein the declaration will terminate as of the date that none of WDPR, wow, I can't believe I'm saying that, or any of its affiliates or their respective successor entities owns any real properties within 10 miles of the RCID properties. All right, so that's that. And I say I may not read this, but I'll leave the link in the description. How long is it? Oh, it's not that long. Let's see here. Okay, a board picked by Florida governor to oversee Disney Orlando theme park says it has been neutered by a last-minute contract with a royal clause. Disney ran the district for over half a century until Florida legislator punishes the conglomerate for slamming state law regulating sex education. But the new board says its authority has been bypassed by restrictive covenant that cite King Charles III. The Republican-aligned board is hiring lawyers to settle the matter. Unnecessary nonsense. Okay, we're going to have to deal with it and correct it, board members Brian Ungs said on Wednesday at a public meeting. He called Disney action, quote, a naked attempt to circumvent the will of the voters. This is this guy own doing. My goodness. Okay, voters and will of the Florida legislature. But the thing, let me just read. In a brief statement, Disney said, quote, all agreements signed between Disney and the district were appropriate and were discussed and approved in open notice public forum. The previous Disney Control Board was known as the Reedy Creek Improvement District, and it ran the sprawling theme park resort in Central Florida. It approved the now dispute agreement on 8 February, the day before the state Republican-led legislature voted to empower the governor to pick his own board to oversee the 27,000 acres. There's no way these people were gonna mess this thing up. So he put his people to mess up, to go in and do whatever they want with Disney. With all the amount of money Disney, there's a history thing that I saw about Disney where they built that place. It was a swamp, and they turned into this what we see now. People all over the world come to vacation in Florida to see Walt Disney, and this guy was gonna mess it up. My goodness, just go on YouTube or something. There's probably some history about how Walt Disney, even the history of Walt Disney itself, where he started working, how he started doing his drawing, working for newspapers and all of that. This thing was built on a swamp to make it big like that. And then this governor, I could understand there might be some disagreement, okay? There's a possibility that Walt Disney maybe, I don't know, taking advantage of certain things. But the kind of governorship we have right now, where they're running to every single thing without thinking. They're not thinking logically, they just want to destroy. Remember, when you want to destroy, you don't care about the infrastructure, about the foundation of things, you just want to destroy. So I could understand they could return back if there's a different type of group of governorship in Florida to oversee this and think through it properly, and whatever disagreement they have with Disney, to think logically. Because these people are not thinking logically, getting rid of books without even thinking that kids needs to learn certain things, taking women's right without thinking there's other things that could happen if some women wants to do abortion because it affect the woman's life. All of it, they're not thinking logically whatsoever. As of now, I'm against it, but in the future, if we have a logical thinkers and power who could overlook at this, whatever this thing is happening, and think and come to some sort of agreement with Disney, maybe. But right now, these people are not thinking. They're gonna ruin that place. Again, like I said, there's an asterisk for me here. There's a possibility Disney is taking advantage in some shape or form. But right now, it's like the lesser of the two evil kind of thing for me right now. Because what we have as governorship that's going on within the Republican Party in the United States, they're not thinking logically. Okay? They just want to destroy the infrastructure, the foundation of America. And Walt Disney is one of them. As much as you want to think about it, Walt Disney is one of them. Because when you look at other countries who try to replicate it, they can never come close to what we have in the United States. Okay, so with that being said, let's continue. All right, so they want to take control over all of that. My goodness. And the other thing I want to add to what I've said on my original recording is that it's not like there was an issue. It's just because the Walt Disney Company seems to disagree with what the governor was trying to do, and because of that, as a retaliation, they want to change the thing, and because of that, they were gonna destroy it. That's what I get from that. And this is why I wanted to find out how Lily got involved into this mess. So through that, I learned a lot from it. So it's because Walt Disney, the company, disagree with DeSantis kind of a governorship with, I guess, LGBT, what do they call them? LGBTQ kind of ruling for gays, lesbian, bisexual, and this type of things. And then because Walt Disney disagree, the company disagree, I don't know the full detail, but it seems that's where it is. And then as a retaliation for not agreeing with him, he's going on to remove the board members in Walt Disney to oversee it. And you know these people, they don't do things logically. Okay, to mess it up. And then come to find out from reading all of this stuff, I found out that Disney is taking care of a lot of things. It's not, from my understanding, it seems like they're taking care of road. So from reading some of the things, I found out that Walt Disney is taking care of a lot of things with a burden off of the taxpayers or something like that, or people around the area. So from my understanding, it seems like Walt Disney take control or their responsibility, whatever their original contract was. So in return, Walt Disney is supposed to take care of, let's say, I think, take care of the road, construction permit, building code, water and waste collection, among other infrastructure concern. So So that's a lot of things that Walt Disney is doing in return, instead of the city or whichever area Walt Disney is located at. So these are the responsibility of Walt Disney. And then, as we know so far, I don't know all the full little details. There might be some issues in the background. I do not know. But on the surface, they seem to be doing their part of the bargain. They've been taking care of it. You don't see shit in the water like we're seeing in a lot of other countries. Well, there are. The same thing that happened in the UK, where people seeing shit in their water. There's some parts in Florida, because of the way they changed the law. So the treatment of wastewater is not taken care of. So some people were discussing, were angry about that. I don't freaking know why they keep on voting these people back in. Okay, so the same thing that we see happening in the UK, it's happening in the US as well. Okay, so if the governor, especially a Republican right now, the way their mindset is taking control of Walt Disney, people are, I guarantee you, the way they're gonna manage it is to ruin it. People are not coming in, because Walt Disney bring in a lot of tourism. People travel many places to come to Walt Disney, so that will deter people. Okay, so it seems like one of the goals of Republican is to destroy the infrastructure of the United States. It's almost as if the enemy is within. Okay, what holds America together, the brilliant reading, to be smart and all of that, they're ruining it. Okay, gun control, they don't want to do that. Just look at gun issues in the United States. Alright, so let me get back to the original recording. The newly created Central Florida Tourism Oversight District says the binding agreement passed last month by the previous board hand Disney total power over development of the area. Okay, so in other words, whoever was in that particular, the group of people who were in that particular board, okay, before they leave, they give it to back, they give powers back to Walt Disney, so they could maintain the, I guess, control and how they want to run Walt Disney. Okay, the declaration is valid until 21 years after the death of the last survivor of the descendant of King Charles III, King of England, according to the document. Oh my goodness, we need to keep on praying. Why are they putting so much pressure on the Sussexes so much? Oh my God. Such so-called royal lives clause have been inserted into legal documentation since the late 17th century, and they are still found in some contract in the UK, though rarely in the US. The 151 pages Florida agreement also states that no fanciful characters owned by Disney, including Mickey Mouse, can be used by the board. The use of the name Disney is also banned. They threw the shit back at DeSantis. The new board chairman, Martin Garcia, told NBC affiliate that they may have to challenge the agreement and protracted litigation. I mean, can you imagine that this Mickey Mouse thing, they work hard for it? Okay, Disney made a political enemy of the governor after criticizing the state Parental Right in Education Act signed by Mr. DeSantis last April. The measure banned instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity for pupils aged 9 and under. So, supporters of the bill say it protects children from inappropriate content. Opponents dub the legislation, quote, "don't say gay," oh my God, and say is stigmatized LGBT youth. The culture war between Mr. DeSantis and Disney has helped elevate the governor's profile as a potential 2024 Republican presidential candidate. Okay, so that's it. Okay, I have other ones I'm gonna put together, so that's it for now. Okay, so I wanted to share this with you.
It is a great privilege to be with all of you today.
You know, we ask for forgiveness and please come back.
As you saw me find the love and happiness that I'd hoped for all my life. You are all in this together, and if I may speak personally, we are all in this together, because asking for help was one of the best decisions that I ever made. You will be continually amazed how life changes for the better.